it's specifically asking about this flaw in the second person's argument, right? Did we have any reaction to their argument as we were reading it or when we were finished? Jared?
They didn't really address the lecturing component.
Yeah, this was very strange. I was kind of like, where are you going with this, right? So this is talking about the relationship between a teacher and student, and this is just talking about like the relationship between hard concepts and easier concepts within a subject matter, right? It's like, I expected the answer to say something like, the person is not paying attention, doesn't know what's going on. So let's talk about these. What answers were we debating?
D and maybe E.
Okay, let's talk about D first. So D says applies a key concept to a different aspect of education than the aspect to which the debater applied it. Hierarchy to content versus hierarchy to teacher-student relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so is that happening? Yes. Is that a problem? Yes. Okay. E, takes for granted, which means what? Assumes. So is the argument assuming necessarily that the conceptual structure of mathematics is sufficiently representative of the conceptual structure of at least some other academic disciplines? What do you think? Is this argument assuming that?
No, it doesn't say anything about other disciplines.
It doesn't say anything about other disciplines, but, yeah?
But, I mean, the debater was making a general comment about education in general, which would co-opt math and all other disciplines. But the respondent specifically says math as the counterexample.
Okay, so the respondent talks about math. Yeah, Tori?
Well, I was saying, just by using, for example, signal that he, or the respondent, is assuming that it's representative of the whole teaching structure?
I think so. An example is one instance of presumably many others, at least one other.
Well, he
right?
says, or she,
for all
says
teaching.
All teaching and learning.
Yeah. So, and then we give this math example in an effort to prove this broader point, right? So is the respondent taking for granted that the conceptual structure of math is sufficiently representative of the conceptual structure of at least some other academic disciplines? Yes. This is happening. If the argument wasn't making this assumption, then, I don't know, the argument wouldn't make a lot of sense. Why cite math, right? You must think that it's representative of other things, and therefore you can cite it as an example to prove your point.
If
So
instead of at least some other, it said most, would that be wrong?
No, I still think that would probably be okay because, like Chase said, it says for all teaching and learning, right? So you must think that this example applies to every circumstance. So why is E wrong?
I don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Academic disciplines is equivalent to pedagogical practices.
We get back to our initial issue, right? This assumption is being made, but that's not the problem that we identified, right? The problem isn't how good is this argument by itself. The problem is how good is this argument as a whole is at responding to what the first person said. Doesn't respond at all. So when I looked at E, I said, yes, happening, not a problem. Whereas for D, we said, yes, happening, yes, problem. So just remember, the answer has to be yes for both of these questions. Was anyone at all tempted by C? Fails to consider the possibility that some characteristics of lecturing other than hierarchy are weaknesses? Okay. Well, the conclusion just says the hierarchy in lecturing. So it's just focused on that. We don't care about other aspects. All right, good.